I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me. I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah.
What is up, and welcome to this episode of A Look Behind the Curtain with Chris, with your host, your friend of success, Chris Celeste. Now, I created this YouTube series to answer some of your most common questions, such as, is digital marketing real, and is anyone having success with it? And to really be able to pull back that curtain on online entrepreneurship. So each week, I'm going to pull out somebody who's on the front lines of their business and having great success. I'm going to have them share their wins, some of the obstacles they hit and how they overcame them, as well as the tools, principles, and resources they use to achieve that success. Now, before we dive into today's amazing content, I just want to remind you quickly that if you're gaining value from this series, please smash that subscribe button, and please feel free to share this with anybody you feel would benefit. Now, with all that being said, let's meet today's guest. Marco, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for jumping on the show with me and providing value to the viewer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. This is awesome. This is like the Tonight Show for internet marketers, man. This is awesome.
Well, that's a great honor. Thank you for saying that.
No
so I like to start the show off with just who are you? Basic backstory. You know, where do you come from? Maybe did you have entrepreneurs in your family that led you to move into this space, and ultimately leading up to why you got started online and where you are today.
Okay, no one's never really asked me that. Okay, so cool. So I'm originally from Nassau, Bahamas, island boy, and I came to the United States when I was a teenager. I've been here ever since. As far as the entrepreneurial background, my father ran the family business back in the Bahamas, which was like a car garage. Basically, they fixed, and they repaired cars and stuff. And they also did marine work, so they repaired boats, sold boats, and things of that nature. It was a business started by my grandfather, so entrepreneurs, kind of in the family. I have an uncle who runs a pretty nice business, an import export. So yeah, I grew up seeing entrepreneurship, firsthand. So that always made me not want to have a job. Right? That always made me, I can make money without having to have a job. Let me find something to do, right? And that's how this whole thing the idea was planted, the seed. And then I found out internet marketing haphazardly. I was to be a truck driver, right? I was miserable in my job, and I found out about internet marketing. It all started, I was putting diesel in my truck one day, and I found this little orange card that said, "Fire your boss." And I was like, "Fire your boss? What is this?" I called the number. It turned out to be like a network marketing company. But that was like the beginning of what turned into what it is, today.
Wow. That's crazy. Orange card at a gas station started your
man.
journey. That's
at a truck driver. I mean, and I really hated being a truck driver, man. I like driving. I just hated doing it for a living. And I used to pray, like, "God, please help me find something to get out of this." I promise you, just one day is putting diesel in my truck, and it was a card on the ground, an orange card. I think I still have it. I've moved a few times. I've upgraded my zip code a few times since then. Mm-hmm. But I think I still have it somewhere. I'll find it, man, and I'll post it when I find it. But yeah, and long story short, so it took me onto this road, and now I do copywriting for a living, and it's pretty cool. People pay me to make up stories and stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most high demand, but I wouldn't say underrated, but under talked about. Like, it's not really talked about, the skill of copywriting.
Yeah.
But it is one of the most rewarding, both, financially and the ripple you get to make, right? So the stories you write, the things you craft get to actually affect people's lives for the better.
Right. Absolutely.
Is something that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because and I like to sell stuff. So the fact that I can sell stuff remotely, it's like magic to me. It's like, wait, someone will buy this if I just tell them to buy this? That's awesome, right? Like, and so I guess I really have a strong passion for sales. I've been in sales a lot in past jobs as well. So yeah, and the fact that you can help people to do things and you can teach them things and new skills and things of that nature is really cool, man. I like it.
Yeah,
Let me ask you, of all like, so when you got into online marketing, you know, your first taste, I'm guessing because of the card, would be network marketing.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of skills that are involved with online marketing. What made
Sure.
you choose copywriting to be the one you mastered and pursued?
I didn't really choose it, man. Like the universe pointed me this direction, right? Like I started off, all right, first, when you're this good looking, your family wants you to be like a Calvin Klein model.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like, no, mom, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do something else a little more traditional. I don't want to sign autographs all day, you know. Anyway, but what really happened was I got fired from my truck driving job, man, and I had to find something to do like immediately, right? Because bills were due.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, bills were due and things were piling up and it was getting out of control and I had to find something to do. Okay. And I knew about the internet marketing thing at the time, but I didn't have a budget, right? So I had like a few $100 and I tested some ads in like CPA marketing, lead gen stuff. And all the money went away and, I didn't make any money, right? So I tried to be an affiliate and it was a little difficult for me because I had no coaching, I had no mentorship. No one taught me anything. I learned everything, even the copywriting stuff. I learned everything that I do from YouTube. I just went on there. I would sit there. It was obsessive. I would watch like hundreds of hours of videos. I would watch seminars and webinars and listen to interviews and I was absorb all this information. And then I discovered a video by a guy, and he talked about copywriting. Like this was a guy who was done like $1 million launches, and he wasn't talking about products or driving traffic or any of that stuff. He was talking about copywriting. I was like, this is interesting. What's this copywriting stuff? And then he started naming people. He named Gary Halbert and John Caples and all of these, and like David Ogilvy. And so I started looking these people up, and I started seeing like, wow, these people are actually making a living writing like advertisements. That was so mind blowing to me. And then I said, I can do that. I can sell stuff. And then I started like actually doing it. And then I actually started off this entire thing for free because no one would wanted to hire me. No one knew who I was. I was a nobody. And I started to message high level marketers, like guys that I know were really crushing it. And I would say, hey, if I can help you make more money and it doesn't cost you anything, would you allow me to do it? And it's an obvious answer to that. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I started writing copy for guys for free, and it started working. It started working really well. And then those guys turned into paid clients, and then those guys started telling their friends, and their friends turned into paid clients, and then it was this whole snowball thing. But yeah, and that's how it all started, man. I didn't set out to be a copywriter. I just happened to know how to sell stuff, and I like writing, and it just made sense together. And yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? To fall into it almost like the universe guided you that way, which is kind of, I think that's really cool, that you didn't have any aspirations or dreams to, become a copywriter, to sell things with the written word, right. And, life events and the universe guided you that way. So I think that's really cool. And it's actually really powerful to hear, right? Because let me ask you really quick too, when you were growing up, what was it in your mind that you thought you were going to do?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love science. I couldn't fail science if I tried to, man. I love science. I wanted to be a scientist. Well, so let me backtrack a little bit. I always wanted to be successful because like I said, I came up around entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is I do, I know it had to pay me a lot of money and I had to be awesome at it, right? So that was it. And then I love science. So I said, I want to be a scientist. And then for a while, I wanted to be an actor. Then I got into music. I didn't know what I wanted to do per se, but I wanted to be successful at it. But it's always like something that was creative. You know what I mean? Like it was always something that was an expression of creativity, I guess. I never wanted to be like, anything traditional. And yeah. And it brought me here. I've been writing for a long time because, like I said about the music, I used to write songs all the time. I'd write lyrics and concepts and all this stuff and write for other people and yeah.
That's interesting. Scientist. I would never have really guessed it, but I mean, you never really know somebody until you get to talk to them. So that's cool. That's really cool. It's a kind of interesting little thing I want to share with you. I really never really shared this with a lot of people. When I was a young kid, I wanted to be, basically, I just wanted to be like the baddest dude ever. I wanted to be like, you know, Green Beret or Secret Service or somebody that nobody messed with.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was like, I was like 7 years old and we had cousins come visit us from Long Island. I was living in upstate New York at the time.
Okay.
And the cousin that came to visit us, the father of the family, he was the head financial advisor for Smitten Barn at the time in New York City.
Okay.
And it was I grew up in a really rural town, upstate New York. And this was my first real glimpse at like what wealth was and like actual like financial success looked like. And at that point, like there's something in me that shifted. It was like, wait a second, that's possible. Like that's possible for people to do.
Exactly. Yes.
And I was just like, oh, okay. That's what I want to do now. I want to be a stockbroker. And for the longest time, I wanted to be a stockbroker. Yeah. I mean, it was never actually going to happen. I'm way like, you can't put me locked up in like a building for that long. I just don't do well like that. I need to be able to move freely, which is why I love entrepreneurship. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how when we're young, we have this image of the world, and it's kind of small and narrow because it's only, you know, our town or our family that really we get to see. Yeah. And for you, you know, obviously from an earlier age, you got to see what wealth and entrepreneurship look like. But that was a huge pivotal point in my life at a young age, was being able to see that, you know, we all weren't just a bunch of country bumpkins and that there was like real wealth out there. And I was like, wow.
Right.
And you know,
right.
I'm going for it.
And I think that is what makes us entrepreneurs, because, you know, maybe a lot of people are exposed to this, but they don't see it in the same light that we saw it at a young age. Like, I think entrepreneurs are born. I don't think they're created. I might be wrong. You know, this is just my opinion. Because I was in elementary school selling candy and stuff, man. Like that's the kid. I was always on the hustle, man. Like I was always, so like, yeah, I would sell my school supplies. My mom would send me to school with pencils and erasers and pens, and I'll be selling them to kids. I don't have a pen, 50 cents. Like, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, man. So that's, I don't know. I think entrepreneurship is just something that's in you. Like it's a part of your fabric, and it just takes an event or a moment to just turn it on.
That's so true, right? It's like that one pivotal moment, that one line in the sand, whatever event that you have. It's like all of a sudden that part of you does get activated, right? And it's, you know, I've heard a couple of people mention it that way. That, you know, we were just following life's path, following the path laid in front of us, and then something happened. Right. Just that shift happened, and it no longer could we work for someone else or punch the clock. It was like we had to do something, and now, you know, obviously their lives are much better for it. They feel more fulfilled. They have more financial success. Let me ask you though, when you were getting started in the beginning with, you know, you just lost your job, you're about to join network marketing. What were some of like the fears and obstacles that were popping up for you when you were making that transition over? And how did you overcome them?
So I never really got this personal, especially on an interview, but I've been pretty rock bottom, man. So like, when you like don't have anything else to lose, the only way to go is up, right? Like, so if you got a ball and you drop it on the ground and it hits the floor, the only way it can go other than that is up, back up again, right? To bounce back. So like, yeah, man, I've been arrested for being broke, right? So I was married and we got divorced and I was on child support. I couldn't afford to pay it. Didn't have a job. And yeah, they came and picked me up for being broke, man, because I couldn't pay it twice. So I know what it feels like to be rock bottom, like financially. So after getting to that point, there's no more fear. Like, what else can happen? You know, like what worse can happen? They locked me up in a cage because I couldn't pay, right? So I guess I just lost all inhibitions, and I was like, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. I got to figure out a way for this to work, because I mean, honestly, I've never been happy or comfortable or satisfied at any job that I've ever held. Like that, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I've seen every job that I've ever had as a stepping stone to where I'm actually ultimately going to be. You know, I've never, for instance, I've never gotten a job and like signed up for 401k. Like, I mean, like, I'm not planning on being here 40 years. I'm going, like, you know what I mean? And so like, that's the type of thing, man. Yeah, that's it. So like, I had nothing else to lose. So that this is either work or it works. That's it.
Yeah. And to be self-taught too, that's impressive. You know, a lot of,
Thank you, man.
yeah, it really is, because a lot of people that I've noticed, you know, either they join the industry and they try to go it alone, and you know, very few of them like really break through, because there's a lot more barriers and obstacles in that particular on that path, right?
Yeah.
When you learn from mentors or mistakes, and when you're on that path all by yourself, obviously you're going to be learning from lots of mistakes,
Right.
and
Right.
you know, and that makes that obviously the more obstacles and a harder road. I was fortunate enough to do both. So I built a brick and mortar auto glass business, mobile auto glass business with a good friend of mine, best friend of mine, from the ground up, with no education, no knowledge, no nothing. And I, you know, it was hard. It was really hard. And then when I switched to online, I told myself, I was like, listen, I've already done this once. I know there's a lot of growing pains that come with building a business. How can I avoid as many of those and get to success quicker than I did the first round?
Right.
And, you know, obviously the answer to that was to learn from a mentor, to follow a proven path.
Right.
And I mean, we both know Kiala, who is the mentor who taught me online marketing. And, you know, by linking up with him, his community, and, you know, the AWOL Academy training, it allowed me to fast track what would have taken me, you know, what took him 12 years, what's taken other people 2 or, you know, 1, allowed me to achieve in a 6-month period of time. So it's kind of,
it's definitely
hats off to you, man. And I'm very impressed, because it takes a certain kind of person with a rock iron, like a solid will and drive, to really push themselves through that path and have the same success. So
thank you, man. I had no choice. I couldn't afford a mentor. You know, I wish I could have, you know, I couldn't afford a mentor. And so that's like it goes back to the old adage, if there's a will, there's a way. Like, if you really want it bad, man, you're going to do whatever you need to do to get it. You know, if you really want it bad. So yeah. And like Kiala, Kiala's amazing, man. He's like just a walking ball of knowledge. Like I, even though I've been in this industry for a number of years now, when I hang out with him, I always learn something new. Like, you know, it's amazing. And so having a mentor, yes, definitely, I would recommend that. If you have the option, you have the choice, you're able to have a mentor, do that first. Because every great person, you know, you have a coach. You know, Michael Jordan had a basketball coach. You know, like every great has a coach. You know, so
have you ever read? I believe his first name was Tim, but I know for a fact his last name was Glover. He was Michael Jordan's coach. He's the coach that takes athletes like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I saw an interview recently, like a little video clip, not a whole interview, recently with him. Yeah. I don't remember his name either, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
So the book I'm referring to is called Good, Great, Unstoppable. Was Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable.
Okay.
Really powerful book about.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
The necessity, so how you take somebody who is truly a master of their craft already and make them better, like that level of commitment. And like, wow, it's an amazing book. I read it when I was still building my auto glass business, and a lot of what is said in that book is like a driving force for like why I am so obsessed in my business,
right?
And why I do things that other people don't do.
Do you still run the auto glass business?
Recently, so just here recently in the last 2 months, actually, I'm phasing completely out. For the last year, we put systems and people in place to replace me so that it was kind of more automated.
Yeah.
But now my business partner is moving more into the online side of things, because he's seeing what I'm doing. And he's like, why am I sweating in the sun every day,
right?
You know, running this business the old way, when, you know, there's obviously an easier, more lucrative way to do things. So the plan right now is to get him phased out as well and onto the online thing. And then I believe we're just going to sell it. I really have no passion for auto glass or cars in general. That's more my business partner. I'm like the black swan or the black sheep, sorry, of the group, because it's like everyone loves cars. They love them. Like they're obsessed with them. My brother, my best friend, my brother-in-law, all of them, my dad. And I'm like, I could care less. If it looks nice and gets me from point A to point B, I'm happy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But when my son was born, I needed a way to provide the life he deserved. And that for me was not working for someone else. That for me was starting a business. And it just so happened that I was at a party, a barbecue one day, and my best friend was like, dude, I am just so sick of working for other people. He's like, I want to start a business.
The friend, your partner?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. He was, 10-year veteran in auto glass. He had worked for huge companies in that industry and just, gotten sick of just being another person's pawn basically and building someone else's wealth and dreams. And he was like, hey man, he's like, I knew nothing about business. I've never been to college. I joined the military and then I got hurt. So that was like the extent of really what was going on with my life at that point.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I really want you to start this business with me. And I was like, dude, like I am far from qualified to like be your business partner. Why are you even asking me? And, it came down to the fact that he saw something in me that I wasn't willing to see yet. And he was like one of the really first, him and my wife, who was my fiance still at the time, like saw something in me and allowed me to, through the process of building that business, awaken it. And now, I have a lot more confidence in my ability to run, own, and manage businesses and build them and do all these things. But back then I was just like, I have no formal education. I have no business knowledge. I'm like, I don't know anything. Yeah. But, they believed in me and I am who I am today because they started me on that path. So it's pretty cool. Big shout out to both of them. Couldn't be where I am today without them.
They saw like the leadership qualities and the decision-making qualities and everything that you didn't see. It's hard to see things in ourselves too, It's hard to see things in ourselves. Like I saw last night I was watching an interview, David Alan Grier, the guy who used to be on Live in Color back in the day.
The name sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it was an interview, he was on Howard Stern, and the interview he was talking about Jim Carrey, how Jim Carrey's first feature film, because Jim Carrey, he and Jim Carrey worked together on The Living Color. Jim Carrey's career started on that show.
Yep.
So David Alan Grier was telling the story how Jim Carrey's his buddy, his good friend, and Jim Carrey makes Ace Ventura, right? And he said that they go to the premiere and Jim Carrey is so nervous. He's like on edge. He's like because the movie was so groundbreaking at the time. It was so like unlike anything else. There was either one or two ways this can go. This can be amazing or this can be a total dud, right? And so he's watching the movie with Jim Carrey and he's cracking up and everything. And then he's laughing in support. He's like, not that he really is entertained by the movie. He's laughing to support his friend because he was like, this movie is ridiculous. No one's going to watch this. He's what he's thinking at the time. Mm-hmm. And then he said, and that's what Jim Carrey did. Jim Carrey didn't know if anybody's going to like it or not. And then he said, David Alan Grier said he saw Chris Rock in the lobby. And he's like, Chris, what do you think of the movie? And Chris Rock said, no one's going to watch the movie. And then it turns out to be this big hit. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that I say all that to say, like Jim Carrey didn't even see that in himself at the time. He didn't even see that. Like other people, like the audience saw that, oh, wow, this man is going to be amazing. And, it just turned out to be something great. Like we don't see things in ourselves. We're unsure of ourselves so much at a time. And then if we just go for it, and this turns out to be great. There's greatness on the other side of that uncertainty, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Jim Carrey. I find to be quite fascinating. Do you ever study like his success and the way his mind works?
I watch his interviews and stuff all the time. Yeah, man.
I find him to be fascinating.
You know what? I study greatness, man. Like I read books and I watch interviews and I really have a fascination with greatness. Like what makes these people tick? Like what is that it factor? Why is this person so successful or powerful or influential or whatever the case may be? And yeah, so that really, I love greatness. So I watch a lot of interviews and stuff like that. And Jim Carrey's one of those guys.
Let me ask you on that topic of studying the greats and obviously being a student of greatness. Who, in your opinion, would you consider maybe one or two of the most influential people to come before you have been on you?
On me. A few people, like I like Jim Rohn a lot. I don't know if you know who that is or not. Jim Rohn.
Yep.
Jim Rohn, because he just, farm boy from Iowa turned in, like, it's amazing. And then he was he's Tony Robbins' his mentor, so I respect Tony Robbins as well. Will Smith. I love Will Smith. Will Smith is probably the only human being alive that I would be starstruck if I saw. I'd be like, oh shit, that's Will Smith right there. Like, I like Will Smith a lot. Who else? I like LeBron James, man. I'm not really a big fan of Michael Jordan as a person. He's a great athlete. I'm not a fan of Michael Jordan as a person. I like LeBron James. Who else? That's four. Let me see if I can find one more. Who else is great? Great. I like Gary Vaynerchuk too. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I
find it hard to agree with everything he talks about, because he's like all about the struggle. He's all about hustling hard and not sleeping and like,
yeah.
I don't agree with all of that. I believe you can have great success and still have a life.
Right. But, he just wants everyone to die of a stroke, man.
There's no joke there's no denying his success. There's no denying that what he does works for him and a lot of other people.
Everyone has their own path too. Everyone has, matter of fact, I was watching another video. I watch it, man. All I do is absorb stuff, man. Right. So I was watching another video. This time it was like Steve Harvey. This last night, I was watching like videos for like an hour, just interviews and stuff like that. Steve Harvey was talking about, let me see if I can remember the story. Man, never mind. I'll come back to that later, man. I totally forgot which story it was. But anyway, and as far as like going hard. Oh, this is what Steve Harvey said. I remember now. He's like, everyone has their different path. He was like, you can come from two different places. I mean, the same place, and you can go two different paths and get to the same result. So basically, he was like, I'm not jealous of someone like Oprah. He's like, because people get jealous of each other, right? According to success. Me personally, I have friends that I have personally brought into internet marketing, personally, who have made now millions of dollars. Like, they're doing ridiculously well in life. I'm not saying that I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well according to their standards. You know what I mean? Like, personally, I've got guys who I brought into internet marketing, and now they're like living in like beachfront condos in Miami Beach, right, and stuff like that, right? And I'm not jealous of it because we have our different paths, right? So that's what Steve Harvey was talking about. He was like, someone like Oprah. He was like, Oprah didn't go through the same struggles that I went through. She had her own struggles. I had my own struggles. So Oprah's success and my success is different, but we're still successful. So I still feel the same way that Oprah feels about her success being at my level. If that makes sense to you.
No, yeah, so that's like, powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah, right. And people really don't think of that. So it's like you personally, you had your journey to your success point, and I had my journey. Our journeys are different, but we're still successful. And that's the thing. So yeah. I think that everyone having their own journey is what makes this whole thing beautiful. Everyone is not going to have equal success. So Gary Vaynerchuk, with that insanely, don't go to sleep and work for 22 hours a day thing, is his version of it. But then someone like Howard Hughes, for instance, he's great as well. Howard Hughes was an amazing guy. His version of it, he would sleep when he want, wake up when he want, have meetings at 2 a.m. That was his version of success. So everyone has their own version to get to that same point.
Yeah, it's so for me personally, the two big ones have been
Oh yeah, I'm stable. Oh yeah, no label.